Andrew.
Hi, Jane. How's everyone today? What's the date today? We've got October 24th, Monday at 10 a.m.
It's good to see you. I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at RE/MAX Camosun, and welcome.
Thank you. And I'm Andrew Plank with Royal LePage. We are both Victoria Realtors talking real estate and basically chit-chatting and talking about whatever's up for us in the day.
So how has your week been?
Slow, but got starting to see more activity on one of my listings. We just reduced price. Buyers are definitely, I don't know, they feel like they're kind of holding, waiting, seeing what happens. There's a lot of conversations about, well, why would I buy now? And I believe prices will be lower later. So there's been a lot of interesting conversations in the last week. Let's put it that way.
So for the past week, I was at the RE/MAX conference in Quebec City. Is that your cat again?
Yeah. Let's move on.
Sid.
Don't give him any attention.
Hello, Sid. Anyway, I was in the Quebec City for the past week, and we had economist Benjamin Tall come in and talk to us about what's going on with the market and specifically interest rates and what he's expecting. So we're anticipating a 75 basis points. So that's 0.75% increase in the overall lending rate coming up on the 26th.
Bank of Canada Central Bank, yeah, looking like they'll be doing a 3/4 point interest rate hike, and that's not it for the year. They're possibly doing another 25 or 50 basis points later as well.
Right. So he said a few interesting things. The first thing he said was that what happened, why the supply chain is hooped is because over the course of 1 year in COVID, we consumed over 2 years worth of stuff because people were just going online and pressing order. And I guess because they had disposable income. So the haves had a lot of disposable income. And so we just ran out of stuff.
I think yeah. I mean, I think we learned a new tool, which is online purchasing, and got more comfortable with it. As you can imagine, 5 or 10 years ago, people weren't so trusting of, doing online ordering. It was a practice, but not as common. And now it's just how people mainly do their purchasing. So it's just created a little bit more ease, I think, and created a lot more logistical nightmares for the folks who are shipping back and forth everywhere.
He also said, when we were talking about where is everybody in the work industry, where have they gone? What he said was that basically it was the people who were in the low skills area that were let go. And what happened was during COVID, they had to look for other work. And so they got retrained. And now there just aren't those people around. They're just not there to bring back. So that's one
people
of the
kind of moved up the chain in terms of their skill sets. And so the jobs that are what keep the things moving actually at the base are no longer, nobody's really available to do them because they've got better jobs.
The other thing he said was over 200,000 people became Canadian citizens in the past year, or I think over 400,000. And how they are becoming Canadian citizens is that there are people who are already here, which is actually a really great idea, who are on student visas and who have, immigrated and now become permanent residents. Have then being converted into Canadian citizens. And this is amazing to me because what's happened is because those people now are also highly educated, that again, we don't have people to come in to do the entry-level jobs. And so we're hiring. Pardon?
If the real estate market really crashes, it'll be all the realtors that are going to be doing these jobs.
That may be a good thing. Teach us a bit of humility. Anyway, it was just really interesting. I highly recommend I'll put it in the chat. Benjamin Tall, T-A-L. He's often on CBC, and he's with the CIBC Bank. So he's an economist.
Yeah, it's I'd heard the same. I think Brent Ogdenson from BCREA said similar stuff in his recent update on the. It might have been him. There's been a few different people speaking to us about rates and events and so forth, but I believe it was Brent from BCREA. So if um, did Benjamin Tall have anything public? If not, then I would direct people
You mean like any links to what he
to
was
what,
saying?
yeah, what that was.
I went on Twitter and look for him. Um,
Hmm.
he's actually quite a funny guy, which is funny because he's an economist.
You don't always think of stats as funny, but they can be.
Yeah, they are.
79% of stats are made up on the spot.
I thought it was 85%.
You could be right.
Um, 50 to 55% of inflation is supply based. This is starting to lower. That's a quote from him from October
Yeah.
17th.
So
Um,
I guess the other thing is the Bank of Canada, like we've got um, inflation happening at whatever it is, 5-6%. I don't, I haven't, I'm just throwing numbers out there, but it's definitely higher than the 2% target rate that Bank of Canada and banks tend to want to see. So inflation is good at 2%. It's bad at these higher percentages. And so by raising interest rates, they're trying to put bank on it, the brakes on inflation. And what I've been hearing from the mortgage brokers, economists that are reporting to us, what they're hearing is the central bank does not mind if we go into a recession. They don't
right.
mind that. What they do mind is the higher the inflation that we're seeing. So if they get inflation down below 2%, I guess, or if they put us into a recession by being too aggressive with these moves, they're more okay with that than having the inflation too high.
Right.
So
Yeah, and so there are 4 basic things that they look at when they're looking at inflation. Bread, milk, beer, and gasoline.
interesting. You know what? I just got to say, none of those. So I'm gluten free, dairy free. I have an electric car, and I don't drink beer because, again, gluten free.
Yeah,
So
it was interesting.
I
I
just
mean,
don't
I
count.
think that's not I think that's a simplistic look at it. But
It
anyway,
is absolutely.
so the other thing that's been happening in the past week and a bit is our election results. So we're just
Mhm.
gonna go over that.
Local.
But look, you want to do the stats first?
Yeah, let's do those stats. I actually haven't seen them yet,
Okay.
so
All righty.
this is
Let's
brand
do
new
those
for me.
stats. All right, let's catch up on what's happening in
Those
Victoria.
young faces.
Okay,
Okay.
so go ahead.
Okay, sure. So today we're September 24th, so it's the right-hand column. We will compare to the column on the left. But new listings in the last week, 215. 132 properties went pending. That's not actually a bad ratio. Actually, yes, during the really, really busy times, it was almost 1-to-1 or above, but this is actually looking like a really healthy ratio. Quite a lot of price decreases, though, at 139, and that's suggests that maybe prices are coming into alignment with what people are willing to pay and why we're seeing maybe more pendings.
Right. And the reason why we look at this is because we're really trying to figure out what the absorption rate is. So, how fast properties are going. So, February of this year, they were at 100 to 100 new listings and 120 pending. And so, obviously, things were selling faster than they were coming onto the market.
Mhm.
But we're seeing, right now it's probably like a 50% ratio. So, that's not
Yeah.
bad.
No, and again, if you look at the ratio from last week, 223 new listings, so similar to this week, but pendings were only 112, so 20 less pending. Price decreases were higher, and yeah, So
Yeah, and part of that is just people coming back from holidays and stuff like that. So
holidays
look,
do play a factor. Yeah.
yeah. So look at month to date. We see net unconditional sales for this week up at 350. So that's compared to 745 for September of 2021. So quite a lot, like
October,
125.
right.
Yeah.
October of
Oh,
2021.
sorry, October. New listings were at 779. So again, we're catching up from where we were last year. So that's good. And
Mhm.
typically, I think sales in this time of year are around 400 to 600. So we're not doing badly.
No, no. In fact, at sales meetings at my office and around the water cooler, people are talking about how, it's nice to be in a more balanced market, in a sense, or a more regular market. And, a lot of the new agents just aren't even aware of what that means or what it looks like. But um, that being said, it does look from the graphs like we're going to maybe shoot below balanced and move into buyers from.
Right. Which I always say to people, if you see that happening, now is a great time to buy because you can get a deal.
There's some people out there when there's uncertainty, there's potential for um,
Opportunity.
opportunity. Yeah. And once there's certainty with a direction one way or another, it's a little bit harder to have opportunity, to find those opportunities because the gap isn't as wide.
And I would say, really, it's important to start looking at where the interest rate is going up and the price is going down. There's going to be an intersection where the interest rate going up is going to cost you a lot more money over 5 years than the price going down. So it's better to get into the market now and get your rate hold that you have before you have to give up that rate hold, move to the next level, and then you're going to be paying for that for a number of years.
Yeah, you're talking about affordability and just, that balance between interest rates, price of the home, future potential values, and so forth. But absolutely.
So I randomly looked at results of 4 different municipalities in the area,
Mhm.
and all of them are talking about affordability of housing, either in rentals or housing itself. And I don't know all the programs that each is planning, but definitely this is a hotspot in
Yeah,
Greater Victoria right now.
yeah. Yeah, Jane, like for those of you watching who are not from Victoria or familiar with Victoria, we say Victoria all the time, but we're actually made up of 13 municipalities, and each of us may live in our own little fiefdom, but it's hard to sort of stay on top of everything in terms of all the moving parts. But Jane, you've randomly selected some of the major centers here.
Right. And Marianne Alto, she's a protege of their outgoing mayor, and
Helps.
so she's really carrying on the work of
Mhm.
Lisa Helps. Langford, I know that they were in social media recently. I read some articles about people who were questioning the fact that the former mayor was maybe a little close to developers. Well,
Mhm.
he would be close to developers because that was the way he built Langford up. So he worked with
Yeah.
developers to really take the costs off of what do you call it? Langforders.
Langfordians. That was a Langfordian slip. Um,
So
yeah, I mean, the whole idea was that Langford was called, the dog patch, back in the day, and it was not really looked at as a really desirable place to live or be. And the mayor decided to change that and really did develop Langford a lot. But the cost of success was that um,
the
it brought
cost
a
of
lot of new
housing.
people, and now people don't. Now that the NIMBY has begun, and they don't want to see so much development anymore. They want to be happy with what they've got there. They're satisfied
Yeah,
with.
and by NIMBY, Andrew means not in my backyard. So
Mhm.
they're like, no more development. Let's do the status quo. But I think there's a lot coming down the pipe because I'm seeing land assemblies happening there and condos. There's also being a focus on building rentable accommodation there, both there
Yeah.
and in Colwood.
But
And
they have a whole new slate of counselors, except for one counselor who was an incumbent, a new mayor, doesn't even live in Langford, although has family in Langford. No experience really. So it's going to be interesting how they integrate with the actual infrastructure and bureaucracy at Langford City Hall and with the developers and development and navigate that whole process. Langford's in for some interesting times.
yeah,
Yeah.
and interestingly, Langford was known for being quite quick in its development and
Mm,
approvals. And I
yeah.
know that they took some of those people who worked in that department into Colwood to help them with their development. Now they're in their building phase. So
Yeah,
um,
Colwood is really a place to watch with all that's happening in Colwood. Royal Bay, I love Esquimalt Lagoon as an area. They're just working on. They need more infrastructure, but it's a good location, and they're about. Would you say 10 or 15 years behind Langford in their development?
definitely, although Royal Bay is picking up pretty quickly.
Yeah. Mhm.
I think they're maybe a third of the way through that development, maybe a quarter. So
Well,
they
yeah, Royal Bay still has a long way to go, but but it's easy to build on. It's just old sand pits. But I'm seeing a lot of their commercials now coming up.
yeah.
Well, you drive past that every day, so
Yeah, so I actually purposely, bought just on the border between Mechosin and Colwood, right near the pits the pit, because, we felt that, with the new development that was coming up, that we would benefit from that with and still live on a fairly large property without, feeling the infringement, although I hear the noise and the traffic is a lot louder. It's interesting.
interesting. Okay, yeah,
So, and then Saanich again, another new mayor, and again, the focus on affordable housing.
affordable housing everywhere. That's the big one, and that's what's in the news everywhere. Is trying to house people and um, keep people housed and house people that aren't.
Yeah, and so, but I just want to say though, I'm on the Habitat for Humanity, and it's on the board there, and it's quite hard to actually find people to fit into those homes because the threshold is low, and so you basically have to be. You have to be within a certain amount of income
Mhm.
and also have a family. So it's interesting. The affordable housing um, industry, I would say, is challenged, and it's challenged because first of all, there isn't a lot of affordable housing, and so they're planning to do that with rentals and condos and stuff like that. And then the question is, once you get people into affordable housing, what's the next step?
Yeah,
How long do they stay there? And what do they what potential do they have to eventually move into a regular home from a condo,
right,
or is condo living going to become the norm? I don't
right.
know.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe smaller, cheaper units, which we see sometimes, little bachelor suites and so forth, trying to help people enter the housing market and move up the ladder. There are different structures where, developers are sometimes given incentives or required as part of their development permit to include some affordable units in their sales. There are some units that come up. We see them every once in a while. They look too good to be true in terms of pricing, and then when you look at them, they're they're restricted in terms of what price they can be and your income if you're to purchase it. Um, so there's those, and then there's co-ops, of course, where you can buy into a co-op or move into a co-op. Different structures or setups for folks for housing, and what we need is more supply in general, and then how it's structured, I think, um, is secondary almost, but we definitely need more supply.
Yeah, so I'm just putting up some links here for affordable housing in case there are people. This is a Greater Victoria Housing Society. So they're providing affordable rental housing.
Mhm.
And then there's Habitat for Humanity, which I'm going to put in here. And so their mandate is to bring communities together to help families build strength, stability, independence through affordable home ownership. And they're, of course, part of a bigger organization. And I'm trying to think here. Yeah, like sometimes you have to be creative, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, thinking outside the box is how we move on, and maybe somebody will come up with a wonderful solution or idea. Hopefully the bureaucrats and the politicians will hear it, but there's always new ways to do things, right? The
Yeah.
one thing we noticed, speaking back to the last municipal election, was that voter turnout was much lower, apparently, almost across the board, except in Langford, where it was I think higher than normal. But overall, the voter turnout was pretty low for the municipal election.
Yeah, I mean, I think I looked at what the voter turnout was for the area that I live in, and there's, I think, 6,000 people, and it was maybe like, well, actually, it might have been considered high. I have to look again. I think it was around 3,000 total.
That's a lot if you got half of the voters out to vote.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
Do you
yeah,
think
so
do
mhm.
you think there was just a lot of anger, I guess, towards um, wanting change and stuff now that COVID's over? Not COVID's over, but we're not in
Anger, I don't
crisis.
know. I mean, I think if there's people who are feeling angst or angry or any kind of emotionality are going to be more likely to go and vote rather than not vote, unless they're feeling completely, you know, powerless or like it doesn't count. I think that, the folks that were doing the Langford Now movement that put that together got a lot of engagement from folks, and they did engage, I think, the emotionality, whereas maybe there just wasn't as much to sort of sink your teeth into or your interest in the other elections. There wasn't the drama, or it's just more of the doesn't really matter who's the leader. Just let other people decide.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm of the opinion that if you don't know really the candidates or haven't really studied it, you shouldn't vote. I mean, I
right.
do
And
believe you should be engaged, but you shouldn't vote just because you heard somebody's good or, this is this or this is that. It just then you're not an educated voter.
some people vote to vote somebody out, not to vote people in.
There's that too. Yeah, there's that too.
I do. Well, I'm of the opinion you do need to vote, but I do.
But if you're going to vote, do it from a place of education. Don't just throw a vote in because you've
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
or talk to people who are better educated than you and ask them,
Okay.
like
How do you
Andrew.
how do you know they're better educated?
Informed and may share similar values.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you have coming up in terms of listings and sales? Listings and buyer needs.
Everything is I mean, I would almost I don't have any listings coming up that I'm aware of, but again, every week it's a new week. In terms of buyers, got buyers looking for condos mainly, and condos in the sort of the Fairfield, Cook Street Village, Oak Bay area. But for a retirement, up to over 700 square feet, but under 500,000. So probably an older building with shared laundry, and she's fine with that. Just looking for quiet. I've got a younger person looking for a condo in Langford area, size 600 or larger, price again under 550 or so. I've got a young family looking for a townhouse, but again under 700. So we're looking for 2019 prices.
Okay, I have a listing coming up, 302-877 Ellery. This is a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo. It has in-suite laundry, and the price is going to be $410. And it is, let me just get the square footage for you. It is about 1,000 square feet. It's
Okay.
a corner unit. It's in a Esquimalt. It's right across from a Esquimalt High, and
Yeah.
it is a quiet area. So,
Except when Esquimalt High is going,
and
probably.
yeah. And then I have a house coming up in Broadmead area. It's going to be a little bit a while before it comes up, but very nice house on Hillmont, and that's going to be priced around 1.4 million. We'll see.
I actually do have a family of 5 or so looking for a house, and Broadmead was an area that they'd identified. I think they think they'd prefer to be closer to town, but I'd love to see some details on that.
Okay, I'll let you know when it goes live.
Okay.
And if anybody out there does want information on properties or anything, how do people get in touch with you, Andrew?
Yeah, please reach out. I'm at, you can phone or text at 250-360-6106 or email info@andrewplank.com, and happy to hear from you.
There we go. There's the
Yeah,
banner.
a banner.
He's a banner guy. And if you guys need to reach me, I'm Jane Johnston with the Briar Hill Group at Remax Camosun. My number is 250-744-0775. You can reach me at briarhillgroup@gmail.com. I have 2 websites for you. One is briarhillgroup.com, which lists all our listings and has information on buying and selling. And our other website is vancouverislandtime.com, which houses these videos as well as information on neighborhoods. And what's your Instagram, Plank Andrew?
Blank Andrew. Blank Andrew.
Okay, and I'm at Realty Teacher Remax Victoria and Vancouver Island Luxury Living. All right, you guys.
Right. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you same time, same bat channel next week.
Yeah, we're available every Monday morning. Just want to put in, don't forget to subscribe, especially if you're looking on YouTube.
Mhm.
And we want to hear from you if you have any questions. Email one or both of us. Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you.
week.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.